Amy Thurman here with the Authentically Amy series. And what that means is that I'm authentic and I share things with you that others might be afraid to share. This is about my mental health journey. If you're new, welcome. Thank you for supporting me and being here to cheer me on and to help share this message so that other people can find hope and joy in the midst of struggle. If you are new, you probably don't know my story, and so I'm going to share a little tiny bit of my story. And if you have followed me for long, you know a part of my story, but you don't know it all because I haven't ever really shared it all. 10 years ago, actually it's 11 years ago, I passed out and landed on my face on the hardwood floor. And the impact from that, it sheared my brainstem, broke my neck, caused a traumatic brain injury, but nobody could figure it out for 6 months. So I was completely incapacitated for almost a year, had to lay flat in bed. I went from one day working for a university to the very next day I couldn't even take myself to the restroom. And I wrote a whole book about that journey. People were watching me go through this journey and not giving up. I literally lived 10 years with a broken neck that went undiagnosed for 6 months. And I just fought my way through the medical and the disability systems. I advocated for myself to reclaim my life because I wanted to use my story to help others. And while people were watching me go through this, they kept saying, "You need to write a book about this. It's so inspiring." And inside I was saying, I'm literally fighting my way out of hell right now. I'm clawing my way out. Why would I want to write about it? But they convinced me to do it. And so I wrote a book called Finding My Hero Within, A Journey from Incapacitation to Empowerment. And it is my story of living with that broken neck for 10 years, what all I went through and how I managed to do it with little tidbits of what I call Polish the Mirror, a framework I created that helped me make it through that hard time. That book took on a life of its own that I never expected. I wrote that book because people told me I was an inspiration and that they wanted to know more about my story. And that I wanted to use my story to help others. That was the whole reason I wrote that book. I had no idea what would happen with that book. It took off. People began to message me saying, "Your book saved my life." Literally, it brings me to tears to think about the words that I wrote, the horrible things that I went through, that I simply laid bare and shared with others, were saving people's lives? Seriously? Like, it was just amazing. And so people began to contact me with all of these opportunities. I began to make connections with people I had never even dreamed of making connections with. I was able to have opportunities like being featured on a Times Square billboard. I was able to go to the Emmys and gift my book to celebrities, writers, producers, and directors who at this time want to turn my story into a movie, and there's so much more. And it was just almost an instant trajectory of an explosion of my life that I had not anticipated. Y'all, I'm a gal from a little town in Oklahoma. I appreciate the simple things, and this was not something that I knew how to handle. It happened all at once. And I just didn't know how to handle it. It affected not only me, but I will share that it affected my family. And that's not something I have ever shared openly before. And so this experience of my life literally exploding all at once took on a meaning that I don't know how to, I still am struggling to handle that right now. While that, my book and my career was skyrocketing, my personal life was digging even deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground. And so I ended up losing my marriage over this. And, you know, when my story involves other people, I'm hesitant to share much of it. But I feel like you knowing that piece of it is really important because that is how it has affected me and my family. I'm sharing that with you to say that all of that was building underneath the surface. What you all saw, if you have followed me for long, or if you go check out my socials, you will see all of the trajectory and all of the highs and all of the great things. While I tried to share some of the lows as well, I couldn't share as much as I wanted to because it affected other people. And so now I'm speaking out, I'm coming out because it affected me in such a great way that I chose to get professional help. And that's what this series is about. Those of us who deal with anxiety and depression, which I learned while I was inpatient in a mental health hospital, that is everyone, that everyone on this planet deals with anxiety or depression or both in some manner or another. They just don't know that's what it's called. They don't know that's what it is. And it became so low for me, excuse me, that I reached out for help to a person that had been in my life for 16 years who I thought cared about me. and there was no response. Twice, no response. I reached out for help. And so that really sent me deep, deep, deep. And so I struggled with that for a couple of days and finally reached out to some close friends of mine, and they talked me into getting professional help. I didn't know what that looked like. I had been a social worker, so I knew I had taken clients to do the assessment to see if they needed to go inpatient or if they needed to do what treatment they needed, but I had never done it myself. And so I was sitting on the other side in this waiting area, waiting to do assessment on myself, not on one of my clients. And I wasn't, can I say that word? Suicide. I wasn't a danger to myself. You know what I'm trying to say? I wasn't a danger to myself. While I was very deep and low, I knew that it was time for me to get help so I wouldn't get to that point. I didn't think they were going to keep me. I thought they were going to just treat me outpatient, give me some treatment options, help me do some group therapy and some one-on-one therapy with my amazing therapist. But when I began to share the story with the assessment person, the intake person, she said, I think we need to keep you. Let me go check with the doctor. 2 minutes later, not 2 minutes later, she came back and she said, the doctor said to keep you. We have one bed left. Did you bring your things? And I said, I was literally in shock. I was like, you're keeping me? And she said, yes, your decline in function is so severe that we need to keep you so that we can stabilize you, so that you can go back into that environment and become a more productive and more healthy version of yourself. While it made sense to me at the time, it's literally making me tear up. It made sense to me at the time. It really scared me because here I was, this former social worker who had taken other people to be inpatient, and now I was going inpatient. Like, I kept saying, I'm not crazy. I kept saying to her, I'm not crazy. Please don't drug me. Please don't medicate me. Please don't knock me out. That's what I kept saying. And she said, honey, we're not. You just need help. And you came to get it, and we're going to give it to you. She said, this was about 8:00 p.m. And she said, can you go pack your things and be back by 10? We can hold the bed for you for 10. We can hold the bed for you until 10 o'clock. And I said, yes. The drive to my home was 45 minutes. So home and back was an hour and a half. So I had 30 minutes to pack and notify all of the people who loved me and cared about me what was going on. I did all of that and hustled and got back to the intake at 9:58 p.m. That's the beginning of my story. I don't want to keep these videos long, but that's the beginning of how it happened and what happened. And I'm sharing this to remove the stigma, to help remove the stigma of mental health, that it's okay for us to talk about it. Oh shoot, I forgot I didn't wear my waterproof mascara. Hope I don't have mascara all over my face. I'm helping normalize talking about mental health, and that it is a struggle, like I said, for almost everyone. And the more we talk about it, we don't have to talk about it publicly like I'm doing. You don't have to do this. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to talk to anyone about it. If you're struggling with any kind of anxiety, depression, or anything that is causing you to feel lower than you know that you're supposed to feel, or that you think that you're supposed to feel, I encourage you to talk to someone you trust about it, someone who has your best interest at heart, and who's going to help you get help. Getting help does not mean you're weak. What I found out was that asking for and getting help is a very, very brave and strong and courageous thing to do. And so that's why I'm sharing this part of my story, is to help normalize this and to help people understand that it is strong, it is strength. It takes strength to ask for help, and that there is help readily available for us. We just have to know who to ask. We have to be willing to talk about it and admit it first. In Oklahoma, if you dial 988, just on any phone, now 988, it is like dialing 911, but for mental health. And they can direct you. It's anonymous. You don't even have to give them your name. They can direct you to whoever you need to be able to get the help that you need. And so I'm going to share more of my story and more of my experience inpatient as a patient inside a mental health hospital through this series. And so this is just the very first part of it. If you would like to hear the others, then I'm using hashtag Authentically Amy. I have used that hashtag for a while, but that's the hashtag that you will find on these as well. I would love for you to follow me on all of the socials. I have a TikTok that's just allocated for this. It's called Authentically Amy. If you want to see them all at once in one place. And I'm working on getting a YouTube adding them to YouTube as well. So thank you so much again for being here, for supporting me, for watching this video, for sharing it, for telling people about it, and for helping us normalize talking about mental health and helping break the stigma. All right, I love you. Until next time, bye.